I am not encouraging or advising anyone to modify their firearms. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Ejectors are caliber specific. It seems 45 ACP uses a unique ejector. Then 9mm 38 Super and 40 Cal share one. I've seen 10mm specific ejectors, but also seen it lumped in with the 938-40 ejector. The ejector for the smaller case diameter has a little jog in it. The 45 ACP one is straight. They will have different tip lengths, and there are extended ones that need more adjustment once installed. They will generally have extra material hanging off the back so they can be blended into the slide once they're installed. They will need a little notch cut for the cross pin in the frame. There are different pin types and diameters. There's solid pins and then roll pins or spring pins. 1/16 diameter is the original spec. It seems 3/32 or 94 thou pins are common to the STI or staccato pattern frames. Probably need to measure the hole in your frame with gauge pins and select the appropriate one. I prefer solid pins. I have had a little 1/16 roll pin break in the hole and cause the ejector to loosen up. It was also a pain to extract. It was probably shitty quality. The pin doesn't need to be a press fit. The slide will retain it once it's in there. Roll pins will be snug in their hole. You can pin the ejector or not. I absolutely would. I've heard of people using Loctite down in these holes to secure them. It can't really go anywhere with the slide installed on the frame, but it could rattle around and rub on stuff if it's loose, maybe cause some inconsistent ejection. They're commonly pinned in place. The ejectors generally aren't notched for the pin right here. That needs to be cut into it. I cut the little notch with a small file. It's worked well for me. Another way is to use a drill bit. You get a drill bit the same size as the hole. It's best to come in from the ejection port side like this because there's more pinhole length to support the drill bit before reaching the ejector post. If you come in from this side, you need a left-hand drill bit and spin it counterclockwise. As it spins and starts removing material, it will actually pull the post down into the hole, keeping the ejector tight to the top of the frame. If you use a right-hand drill bit spinning clockwise, the drill bit would tend to lift the ejector post and try to push it out the top as it's removing material. Be careful, go slow, check it often. You don't want to break your drill bit off in here or have the drill bit deflect off the rounded post of the ejector and start walking off like this into the frame material. Inspect and clean up the holes in the frame as necessary. I install the ejector, hold it down into the frame with my thumb. Then I come in with a small punch and mark the post of it. So that's where I need to make my little notch right there. I have some small round files. They're tapered at the end, so what I do is I tape off where their diameter gets bigger than the 3/32 pin diameter. On the smaller 1/16 diameter pins, using a round file like this may make the notch too big. A triangular file to cut a little V-notch or a screw slot file could be used. Mark with a punch, file a little, install. Make sure you're starting the notch in the right spot, file a little more and check. Repeat until the pin goes all the way through. So this is like perfect right here, exactly what I wanted. It just gets a little bit snug and I can push it the rest of the way through with my punch. Now I need to check how it fits with the slide. Is it rubbing anywhere? I need to put my firing pin plate in for this too. It may rub there. Running the slide back and forth will result in scratch marks anywhere there's interference. I also put the hammer in and pivot it forward to make sure it's not going to interfere with that. Clearance at the ejector, not any other component. I don't have rubbing or interference anywhere, so I'm good to go. I check that the magazine can't be over inserted and hit the bottom of the ejector. Sometimes mag catches will have a little ledge on the bottom of them that prevents over insertion. Chile and MJD mag catches have this feature. Other times the mag base plate will stop on the grip or the mag well, but the magazine hitting the bottom of the ejector, if over inserted, is something to check on 1911s. And I think it's more of an issue on double stack pistols. I check for clearance with the top round in the magazine. Magazine moves around quite a bit. I generally don't want the topmost round in it to be able to hit the bottom side of the ejector. You can see on this ejector, I've made a little chamfer on the edge that faces the cartridge to make sure I have clearance there. The length of the tip needs to be checked. I will link to a great forum post about tuning the length. Check that out for more detail. The extractor needs to be installed. Mine isn't fully fit yet. I just put some tension on it and installed it so it would hold the cartridge up against the breech face. Link up the slide and barrel on the frame, put a round against the breech face, and under the extractor hook, chamber the round. Maybe measure all the ammo you intend to shoot through it and pick the longest one you can find. Pull the slide back slowly and stop as the case hits the ejector. See how close the nose of the round is to clearing the barrel hood. If it's way under the barrel hood, shorten the extractor tip. As it gets close, you should be able to pull the slide back and see if it ejects cleanly without hanging up. If not, cut the ejector length back a little bit at a time until it does. I gather it's best to leave the ejector longer so the case starts ejecting earlier and gets out of the way. The test I just presented, which is outlined in the forum post I linked, is a good thing to check. But unless you specifically bought an extra long ejector for a given caliber, you likely won't need to make any adjustment. Of course, you can get way into the weeds about proper ejector length. They do that in the forum thread, but I'm not going to in this video. My ejector length is fine. It already had this little chamfer right here, which helps the case roll off the side. Other than adjusting length, there are things you can do with the ejector tip to change ejection pattern or direction. I think it's best to leave it flat until it's test fired, adjust the tip angle if there's a problem with ejection. You can see two kinds of ejectors with different tip profiles here from page 78 of the M1911 Kunhausen manual. These would be for 45 ACP. Looking at it from the side, an angle like this will hit the case lower, causing it to eject higher. The opposite angle will have the opposite effect. The case won't go as high. Looking top down, an angle like this will hit the case further to the side, causing ejection to be more straight out. If angled the other way, the ejector will hit the case more towards the center, and it won't kick it as far sideways. It'll be a little bit more forward, maybe that 1-2 o'clock direction. When cutting any angles on the face, I wouldn't leave the point sharp like that. I would leave a little flat spot. That little point will probably get damaged or dinged up, or it'll dig into the case rim. Before final installation, I'll touch up the finish with cold blue, where I made modifications and adjustments. The last pistol I built, I media blasted the whole ejector and just sent it in with the slide in the frame for nitride treatment. When I know I'm not going to need to take this out again, and I'm installing it for the last time, I clean off the ejector posts and I clean out the frame holes with alcohol or acetone. Then I put a very small drop of red Loctite right in the notch there and one on the tip of this pin. Green Loctite would work well for this too. It's probably unnecessary with a well-fit pin, but it's just a little extra insurance.